In the previous video, we have seen how to create methods that accept objects and return objects. So this is completed. In this video, we will see some interview questions on Java methods. The first question is how primitive variables pass to methods by value or by reference. In Java, when we pass primitive values to methods, they are always passed by value. For example, let's say I have two methods. One method is the main method, which is public static void main So this is one method. And let's say I have another method which is public static void change, and it accepts an integer int x. Let's say it accepts an integer. So in the main method I am declaring a local variable which is int x, and I am initializing this one to a value of 5. And from the main method, I am calling this change method. So change, and I am passing this x variable. And if I print this value now, in the change method, what I am doing is I will try to change the value that is passed here, which is x. So what I am doing is I am saying x is equal to 10. So what happens in this case? What we are doing here is in the main method we have declared an integer variable, and we initialize the variable to a value of 5. I am passing this integer variable to the change method, where in change method I am changing this x value from 5 to 10, and I am trying to print this value x now. So what value does x prints? Does it print 5 or 10? What value does it print? It prints value 5 and not 10. The reason is when we are passing a primitive value, integer x is a primitive value. When we are passing a primitive value to a method, it always passes by value and not by reference. That means it passes the value 5 here, but not, it passes the reference of x. That means the memory location of x won't be passed. It just passes the value. It passes a value of 5 here, but it won't pass the memory location of x. So even though we are changing the value from 5 to 10 here, it won't be, the original value won't be affected, because it creates another variable for this method and it changes the value there, but not the value of x here won't be changed. So it always prints 5 and not 10. So when the question is how primitive variables are passed to methods by value or by reference, we can say that they are always passed by value and not by reference. Let us see this example. Okay, I am creating a new class here. Go to new, create a class, and I am naming the class as pass by value, and I am using the main method. Click on finish. Okay, now the template is created. This is the main method. So what I am doing is in the main method I am declaring an integer variable and I am assigning a value of 5 to it, and I am creating another method here, public void change, and this accepts an integer variable, and here I am changing this integer variable to 10. And now I am calling the change method from here. So in order to call this method, now I have to create an object. So I am creating an object, pass by value pv equals to new pass by value. So I have created an object here, and I will call this method pv dot change of x. So I am passing this x variable. Now I will try to print the value of x. So in the main method, I have created an integer variable and initiated the integer variable to value 5, and I have created another method here which accepts an integer variable. In the main method, I have created an object pv, and using the object pv, I am calling this change method. And in the change method, I am changing the value of x to 10. And now in the main method, I am printing the value of x. So what value does it print? Let us run this one. Okay, see, the value of x is 5. Even though we are changing it in the change method, the original value in the main method is not changed. It is still 5. The reason is, when we pass a primitive value to any method, it always passes by its value and the reference won't be passed. That means the value of x, which is 5, will be passed from here. So here for this method, a new variable x will be created and a new reference point will be created in the memory, and a value of 10 will be stored in that. And the original value in the main method for the original variable x still remains. So if somebody asks how primitive variables are passed to methods, we can say that it is passed by value and not by reference. The next question is, when we pass an object to a method in Java, does it pass by value or reference? We have seen how the primitive values are passed, but if we pass an object, how it is passed? Is it passed by value or by reference? Let's see this one. When we pass an object to a method in Java, it creates a copy of the object reference, and that copy will be passed to that method. For example, let's say I have a class here which is class test. So this is class test. So I have this class here. What I am doing here is, I am declaring a variable here. This is an instance variable because we are declaring it at class level and we are not using static keyword. And now I am declaring constructor here. So constructor test int I, and I am assigning x is equal to, and I am creating a default constructor here, test, and if this default constructor is called, then I am assigning a value of 0 to x. Don't worry about these constructors. We will see what these constructors are in the future videos, but for now just remember that a constructor will have the same name as that of the class. It looks like a method, but it will have the same name as that of a class, and the constructors will be invoked whenever we create an object. So just remember that one for now. And here we are creating a constructor with parameters. This is test int I, and we are assigning the value of I to the x variable here. And I am creating a default constructor, that means with no parameters, and I am assigning a value of 0 to x in this one. Okay. So now here we have created one class test, and I am creating another class here. So this is class test class I am creating, and what I am doing is, in the main method, so this is the main method, public static void main string args. So this is the main method. In the main method, I am creating an object for this test class. So test t equals to new test of 5. So when I am creating an object like this, when I pass a parameter, then the constructor with this argument will be called and the value of 5 will be assigned to x here. Now what I am doing is I am creating another method here, which is public static void change, and I am passing this object here. And in this method, what I am doing is I am creating an object t is equal to new test, and I will try to change the value of x to 10. And now I will call this change method from this main method. So it is change, and I will pass this object, and here I will try to print the value of x. So what I have done here, first I have created a class test here, and within this class I have declared an instance variable x, and I have declared two constructors. One is with parameters and another one is without parameters, and I am assigning the value of I, whatever the integer variable that we are passing in the constructor, to the instance variable that we have created here, which is x. So x equals to I. So this constructor will be called whenever we create an object with parameters. If we create an object without parameters, this default constructor will be called and we are assigning a value of 0 to x. This is first class. And in the second class, in the main method, so I am creating an object with parameter for the first class that we have created here. I am passing a value of 5. So this 5 value, the argument constructor will be called here, and this 5 value will be assigned to x. So now for the object t, for the instance variable x, it will have a value of 5. I have declared another method which is change, and I am passing an object to this method. In this method, I am creating the object t is equal to new test, and I am trying to change the value of x from 5 to 10, and I am calling this method the main method, and now I will try to print the value of x here. So what happens? What value does it print? Does it print 5 or 10? So here, as we discussed earlier, when we pass an object to a method, a copy of the reference will be passed to that method and not the original reference. But that means a copy of the object will be created first, and a copy of the reference will be created first, and then that reference will be passed. So even though we are changing the value here to 10, the original value won't be changed for this object t. So when we print this one, it still prints 5 only and not 10. Let's see this example. So I'm creating a new class here, new class, and I'm giving the name as test class, and I'll be using the main method. So this is a class created, and before this I'm creating another class which is class test, and I'm declaring a variable int x. I'm creating a constructor here with parameters test int I, and I am assigning the value of I to x. So this should be small letter, okay, and I am creating a default constructor, and I am assigning a value of 0 to the instance variable that we have created. Now in this class, what I'm doing is I'm creating an object test t equals to new test, and I'm creating it with a parameter 5. That means this constructor with arguments will be called because we are using a parameter here, and the value of 5 will be assigned to x is equal to I. So x will have a value of 5 now. Now I will create another method here, which is public void change test t. I am passing an object here. Now I will create an object here, new test, and I will try to change the value of x here to 10. Now I will call this change method by passing the object. Let us declare this as static method so that we can call it directly without using the object. So now I will call this method change by passing this object t. Now I will try to print the value of x. So t dot x. Okay, so I have created a class here, and in this class I have declared an integer with x, an integer variable x, and I am using a constructor here test int I, and I am assigning the value of I to x. And in this main class, in the main method, I am creating an object by passing a value of 5 to that object. So this constructor argument, the constructor that has the arguments will be called, and a value of 5 will be assigned to x. Now I have created another method, and I am passing an object to that method, and within this method I am creating an object, and I am trying to change the value of x from 5 to 10, and here I am calling this method by passing the object that we have created, and now I am trying to print the value of x here. So what exactly does it do? Does it print 5 or 10? Because when we pass an object, it always passes a copy of the reference and not the actual reference. So the original value won't be changed. That means it still prints 5. So let's see this one. Java application. So it is printing value 5. That means the original value won't be changed because a copy of the reference is always passed to the method and not the actual reference. So when we pass primitive variables, they always pass by value. When we pass an object, it is a copy of the reference will always be passed and not the actual reference, not the actual object will be passed to the method. Okay, in this video we have covered some interview questions on Java methods. If you want to download the document, go to my GitHub repository github.com/subboostech and go to selenium-java-tutorials. This document starts with 6E. So find it with 6E. Okay, so this is the one. Selenium-java methods-interview questions. You can download this document. In the next video, we will see what is method overloading in Java.